Hello, and I just wanted to do a video about the armies that are out for Mid-War, Flames of War right now. These I highly recommend because the game is now set up for these armies, not necessarily the late war and early war. Late war's got a little bit of a setup. Early war really doesn't have much support, but I'm going to focus on the Mid-War because they work really well with the rules right now. So let's get started. The first book, actually the first of two books, was Desert Rats. This is the British forces in mid-war. The thing about the British, they have an excellent setup. They don't have anything that's too overpowered. Unlike the Germans, they're a good solid force. They have their strengths, their weaknesses, so they're still very affordable as far as points are concerned. They get their different tank troops and infantry troops, and then they've got a bunch of support down here, heavy on the artillery, because they do have, I think, the best, most useful artillery in the game, 25 pounders. Also, 17 pounders are there to deal with Tigers, because there's nothing in this list except for the 17 pounders that can deal with Tigers if that's what you want to do. Taking a closer look at the units, we'll start with the Grants. Very good armor, very good gun. It's very hard to hit. They do have a good skill, so they're good for assaulting or whatever. Their cross is a little weak with 4 up. They're very mobile. They remount on a 3 up, which is very important to get back in when they're bailed out. But their big weakness is the last stand. That's really the big issue with the British tanks, is that if they get down to one tank, they run away. That's just they don't stick in a fight as well as other forces. Their infantry teams are really good at assaulting. First of all, they get deadly assault and they get counterattack, so basically they're fearless veteran when it comes to assaulting. So they're really good in hand-to-hand combat. Also, their guns. Something that's interesting about the guns is that they are fearless. So if they get knocked down to one gun or if they get pinned, they're gonna get right back. So again, very high quality troops here, 17 pounders, great anti-tank. They're very useful, really good range, and fearless. So again, you could take 2 guns, and if one gets wiped out, there's a good chance you're gonna stick because of the fearless thing. Finally, I want to take a look at the Hurricane, another great plane. It's expensive, but of course, as airplanes are almost impossible to take out, and they're really good at taking out medium and light tanks. They're not going to take out a Tiger, but that's okay because you need to take out the formations in order to win. So the Hurricanes are actually very, very useful. Now, getting to the combat cards. The way that these work for the British is that they have probably the most awesome combinations that you can get. So for instance, if you have a bunch of, let's say you have Crusaders, what you could do, it's really an auto-include, the scout tanks you put in there, and one of the bad things about the Crusaders is that they have an aggressive, so they get hit on 3, unlike the Grants that get hit on 4. So this is a weakness for the Crusaders, something that a lot of people don't like about them. But with scout tanks, you lose 2 on your tactical movement, not a big deal as far as I'm concerned, and you get it. This goes to a 4 up, and the tactics rating goes to a 4 up. So it basically wipes out this tally-ho, gives you a +1 to get hit, but reduces your movement to 12, which is not a big deal. And also they get scout, which means that they remain gone to ground while moving. So basically you're moving through forest. You know, they're really good at going through forest. They got 3 up cross, and they're going to be a 5 up to hit if they don't shoot, so even while they're moving. So this is a really good card. Now, what really makes this card special is if you combine it with something like Pip Roberts. Pip Roberts, another 4 points. tank units that do not have tally-ho, which this gets rid of for your Crusaders, now have a tactics rating of 3-up. So now they can blitz, they can do all sorts of things much easier because of that. This was really meant to be for the Grants who don't have the tally-ho to begin with, but with the scout tanks, your Crusaders and your Honeys can now do this. And then the real beauty one is John Currie. 8 points. If you don't have tally-ho, you get a last stand rating of 3-up. This is the big one, because instead of, this is the big weakness here, John Currie gets rid of that huge weakness. So if you have a big tank force, especially with a lot of Crusaders, a lot of Honeys, whatever, these are the 2 cards that you really got to have so that your tanks will stick in a fight and not run away, because that's the biggest thing. The British will disintegrate. You go with tanks and you're not careful with your formations, they're going to start breaking and running very quickly. So that's something that you have to be aware of. Also, the cards come with 3 new formations that add to this book right now, and that's for Crusader troop. Basically, it's this divisional cavalry. Then you got one for the Honeys that you can do, and then Humbers. So basically, you can add these 3 formations to these formations up here to your force if you want to. So this is really good. They also give you Porties, where if you take your 6-pounders and basically turn them into unarmored tank teams. So that's a really good card if you want to be more mobile with your 6-pounders. In addition to the scout tank unit cavalry commander, you could put it on your Crusaders. Why I like Crusaders, they get to put something like this on here. Unit passes follow me tests on 3-up and may shoot after follow me, because I love follow me. I think it's a really good, very useful thing to use. And if they pass one, then they get to shoot as well. And that's the weakness of the follow me. So it's really good. Another one to consider for King and Country, you discard this card to have all units in formation of the unit leader within 6 to automatically pass their last stand test. So that can replace John Currie if you want to. And then finally, if you like infantry, these are the 2 cards that you want to get. This formation has a last stand rating of 3-up. Now, the infantry doesn't have the weakness that the tanks do, so they're at a 4-up. So this is not a big of a deal to have the Guards armored or Guards motor, but it's still a really good card to have. And then finally, the Indian Motor Company. Enemy units must reroll their first successful motivation test to counterattack an infantry unit in this formation. This makes this counterattacking really good, because if you bail out a tank and then they run away because of this, then you blow up that tank. So you're going to be killing lots of stuff, lots of tanks, more so with the Indian Motor Company. I really like them. So that's the British. They're a lot of fun. There's a lot of really cool options. I do consider them to be an elite army, even though they do have some glaring weaknesses. But if you have the command cards, you can cover up those weaknesses and truly make them an elite force.